In today's show, the latest trade rumors, how the Blazers could get involved potentially in a Giannis Antetokounmpo deal. Plus, the Trailblazers played 3/4 of a 4-quarter game. It's what they do these days. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, we're going to talk about the latest trade rumors. We're a little more than a week out from the NBA trade deadline, and while there has not been very much movement, one deal across the entire league, there is some speculation about the biggest deals involving the Portland Trailblazers. We will talk about that. We will get into the Blazers playing a basketball game. They played the Boston Celtics. They lost. They played 3 quarters. The game is 4 quarters long. It is very, very challenging to win a 48-minute game if you only play 36 of those minutes. And we'll close the show talking about rising stars. Some representatives headed to the All-Star game. We'll talk about all of that in today's show. Let's start with the rumors, though. The whole league appears to be waiting on Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the rumor, is that with Giannis's latest injury and the Bucks, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're just not very good, there is more and more speculation that the divorce between Giannis and the Bucks could happen as soon as next week. It's not 100% clear that will happen, but that seems to be the big domino, thus putting the rest of the trade world on hold. Maybe Ja Morant, who's also injured, Giannis is injured as well, gets traded, but would you chase Ja Morant if you had a chance to get Giannis Antetokounmpo? I guess legally, networks have to talk about Jonathan Kuminga, but I don't think that matters at all. It's Anthony Davis, again, another injured player, could conceivably get traded. But again, would you do that if you could chase Giannis Antetokounmpo? And that seems to be where the whole world is sort of on hold. So while the rest of the league tries to figure out whether the Bucks, who have tried to play nice in public, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's tried to say I'll never ask for a trade, but it's clear that they're going to break up in the nearish future, seems inevitable from my perspective. While the rest of the league is kind of trying to canvass to see if that could be a possibility, the Blazers could conceivably get involved in a way that I have discussed previously on the show many times, probably 3, 4, 5 times over the last few years, if not more. But some reporting from Jake Fisher on January 22nd, last Thursday. There is at least a little bit of fire with this smoke. But again, this it's that time of year that this is more the way to read this, and I'm gonna read it to you in a moment, is more hypothetical than I think hard news. You really got. Seems like what this is from Jake Fisher is some disparate thoughts grouped together. And I will read you Fisher's reporting. It says Portland is a team to track here when it comes to Giannis, when it comes to the eventual Antetokounmpo outcomes. No one is suggesting that a trade to the Trailblazers is a scenario that the Giannis camp would push for, but Portland still controls Milwaukee's draft capital in 2028. Side note, that's a swap. 2029, that's an outright pick, except it could potentially head to Washington depending on some where teams finish. And 2030, that's another swap. Thanks to the team's Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard trade. And I'm told, this is Fisher again, I'm reading from his reporting, January 22nd, in the Stein line, a newsletter that you can go subscribe to. And I'm told Blazers officials have always viewed Antetokounmpo's potential Milwaukee exit as a chance to improve their own roster by jumping into a multi-team deal. So there's absolutely a down-the-road world where the Blazers could try to butt in, say, Milwaukee/New York talks if Giannis to the Knicks ever gets serious. Okay. This is I think anyone who follows this sort of situation closely knows that this has always been the path for the Blazers. it's not that they're trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo. One, it's hard to conceive of a trade where the Blazers like keep enough of their depth to remain like championship good in the Western Conference and add Giannis. Plus, the Giannis Dame pairing didn't work out particularly well in Milwaukee. They never seemed like amigos, and now they're both older, and Dame's coming off an Achilles injury. Like, would you really run it back? That never made any sense. It just is like it's not realistic. The way the Blazers always get involved was these swaps. They have or with the picks, right? They say, okay, we'll help you facilitate. You want Milwaukee, you want control of your future drafts back. Okay, give us the good young players you acquire in the eventual Giannis trade, and we'll make it happen. The Blazers have that swap with the Bucks in 2028, a swap in 30, and potentially an outright pick in 2029. Although the Blazers have their own pick, the Bucks pick, and the Celtics pick in 2029, and the middle of those three picks goes to Washington. That's something that we'll maybe worry about then. But they don't have the Bucks outright pick, but they do have control of their pick in one way or another. Fisher continues. File this away as well. League sources say Portland has long admired New York's Mikal Bridges going back to Lillard's first stint as a Blazer. So I kind of think those are two unrelated thoughts, right? Like Giannis to New York is probably real. I think there's enough reporting around that like it seems like it was very close at one point, but they just couldn't figure out a deal for it. Mark Stein of that same newsletter reports that like the Knicks. Sam Amick of The Athletic reported that the Knicks, they're not really primed to make a big splash. Like they're not going to dump Karl Anthony Towns or whatever, even though they're sputtering a little bit. They're much more likely to make smaller moves. Mark Stein has reported the same surrounding moves like shedding Gerson Yabusele's salary as opposed to a big swing. But if Giannis was available, certainly they would make a big swing. And in order to do that, the Knicks would almost certainly have to part with one, if not both, of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, if not also Karl Anthony Towns. Although the Blazers, I can't imagine them being interested in acquiring Karl Anthony Towns, certainly not for a kind of juicy first-round draft pick, but anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. But the Mikal Bridges thing is like Dame always loved Mikal Bridges. He was kind of begging for the front office to trade for Bridges heading into that 2022 draft with Scoot Henderson. He wanted them to flip the third overall pick for Bridges, which I felt at the time was an overpay, and it probably was, but also like it's hard to argue that Mikal Bridges hasn't been better than Scoot Henderson over the last 3 seasons. But that's not exactly why you use draft picks. It's not for years 1 and 2. It's for all of the years beyond that, say 3 through 9 that you're really banking on. But I will say this about this sort of whole thing. I think the picks, the trade stuff, like with trading the Milwaukee picks, there's 2 things to balance here when you're really talking about this. One, I think the picks are almost certainly, they're much more likely to be more valuable as trade chips in this flavor of trade than they are as picks themselves. Because if the Bucks don't get their own picks back, they have very little incentive to be like god awful, to be like truly bad, one of the 5 worst teams in the league. And it's so easy in the NBA to rush back to mediocre. It is so easy to rush back to being like the 10th or 11th best team in the conference, particularly in the East. It's just easy. It's easy. It is easy to chase mediocrity. So if you have no incentive to be like horrible, the incentive to be like, we're totally fine, but not very good is like, it is really plain and simple, and it's easy to get there. So like, there's a chance that just like trading the pick is more valuable than the pick itself. There's also a risk that the picks become incredibly juicy and that you don't want to move too early with these trades and then have them come up and be really valuable and not trade them when they're, sort of at their peak. That like there is a balance there. And I don't think I wouldn't want to trade them straight up personally. Like I wouldn't want to trade certainly wouldn't want to trade 2 of these swaps with Milwaukee for a player of Mikal Bridges' caliber, who I think is fine. But I just think he's a pretty good role player. And if you're trading, and the Blazers need good role players, like he would absolutely help. I don't mean to diminish that by any means. But if that's your sort of big swing, using your best tradable chips is to get like a pretty darn good role player under contract for a long time at kind of a big number, is that your best move? So I think you're probably better off trading the picks than you are keeping them eventually. But if you move too early, maybe the picks could would still be appreciating and increase in value. But if you wait too late, maybe they crater and don't have value. There's a lot to balance there. And I think the specifics of the Mikal Bridges thing it's kind of separate from the other paragraph from Fisher, right? Like, yes, Damian Lillard has always loved Mikal Bridges, and perhaps that also includes the Blazers front office. And two, the Blazers will absolutely, and just no brainer, try to get involved. If there is a big Giannis deal, what they can do is call the Bucks is like, hey, if you're going to make this trade, you're going to be bad for a little bit. Don't you want your future picks back? And that would give the Blazers, a chance to maybe make some real upgrades by offering to sort of get rid of the swap rights and give the Bucks back some pieces. That's their move. That's their way to get in on these trades. It always has been. It's something we've been talking about for a bunch of years. For since the Blazers basically made that trade, is always the path I saw as it being its most valuable. But now that it seems like this sort of breakup with Giannis is inevitable, when the timing of when the Blazers get involved and what they're able to procure is really important, because I think they're your most valuable trade chips, and if you go too early, you might end up trading for not cashing in for enough value. But if you go too late, then the value isn't any good. And if you wait them to become picks, you maybe get the 17th pick in the draft, and it's like, nah, great, or maybe even like a late lottery pick, right? You pick like 13, but the chances that you nailing the 13th draft pick is really stinking hard. It's hard to do. They're just not guaranteed to be at the top if the Blazers don't make the deal, because the Bucks will have different incentives. Speaking of the Knicks and the Portland Trail Blazers, I got another little trade rumor for you. We'll do that in the second segment. Then we'll talk about a bad basketball game that the Blazers played. Join me there. We will do just that. First, though, let's talk TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local tax expert either in person or you can connect with them online. And they're going to handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction possible. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. Huge time saver, gives you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file your taxes last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right. Thanks for making the show your first listen. Shout out to my everydayers. If you are a real deal everydayer, if you do listen to this podcast every day, I highly recommend joining the Locked On Everydayer Club. You get an ad-free audio feed of this podcast. If you're an audio listener, if you are listening to this in your ears right now and you listen to it every day, if this is something part of your lifestyle, go sign up for the Everydayer Club. $5 a month, $50 a month, $5 a month, $50 a year, and you get an ad-free version of the podcast. You get access to the members-only Discord, and some more. You can check the link in the show notes for this episode, lockedonblazers.supercast.com. Okay, the other sort of funny, this is not a rumor as much as a sentence that makes you slightly raise your eyebrow. This is from Mark Stein, published on Monday, January 26, who writes the following 3 sentences. Another concept that keeps coming up: rumbles that the Knicks have explored pathways to try to acquire Portland's Drew Holiday. There are at least 2 clear reasons why New York would have interest in a player who helped both Milwaukee and Boston win championships this decade. The presumption that acquiring Holiday, if there's a way, would make the Knicks an even more attractive destination to Holiday's former Bucks teammate Antetokounmpo. And 2, New York is believed to hold a long-standing fondness for Holiday as a potential backcourt complement to Jalen Brunson. That isn't a rumor specifically. That isn't a rumor that the Blazers are interested in trading Drew Holiday. Have actively explored ways to send Drew Holiday to the Knicks. What it is the Knicks saying Drew Holiday's pretty good. He fits the sort of we want to win a championship in June type of player that you would acquire. He's a go for it player at 35 years old, and you just live with the money he's owed in the back half. Would the Blazers be willing, because of the money he's owed at age 36 and age 37, be willing to move off at what it would take? Exploratory calls. I think that's more just interest. But I want to go back to something that I didn't read from the end of the Jake Fisher post that he put out last Thursday, January 22nd, is League sources have painted the Trailblazers as potential buyers during this trade season, with Portland said to be looking to be opportunistic before the onrushing deadline to help its playoff push. I don't think the Blazers are in the market to get worse, right? Like if this deal were to come about, this would be like probably a much larger deal that the Blazers were involved in, acquiring the sort of, I don't know, the OG Anunobys or the Mikal Bridges up on that end, right? With the Drew Holiday trade, as opposed to something else. Like the Blazers are not going to get worse. Don't get it twisted. So that's just a funny rumor. I really think not much has changed. Like this is some new stuff. At least the Blazers, like, hey, maybe they're interested in Mikal Bridges. But like really, it's all the same. If the Bucks do trade Giannis Antetokounmpo, expect the Blazers to at least try to get their hands on the ball. They're trying to get their hands on the ball. They say, hey, we would love to be involved because that's their best chance to cash in. That will be their leverage point with an Antetokounmpo trade. And then after that, perhaps there isn't as much leverage. Okay, we don't usually do this second, but the game sucks so much that let's lead with the trade rumors. And it's also like rumor season, and I didn't want these to go stale. Like I haven't talked about the Fisher thing, and oh my goodness, since Thursday, and it's already Tuesday's program. We've had fresh rumors on the vine, and even though that's not much of one, but it is. It got folks. It gets gums a flapping, as they say. And my gums were a flapping for about 15 minutes. So let's do this recap very quickly. Blazers lose 102-94. Here's your fastest recap in the West. Let's actually go way back all the way to, you may recall, Friday's program of your Portland Trailblazers basketball games. That was when they scored 12 points in the opening quarter against the Toronto Raptors and shot 4 of 26 from the floor, including 1 of 11 from 3 with 5 turnovers. Well, a quarter so nice, they played it twice on Monday against the freaking Celtics. 11 points on 4 of 21 shooting, 1 of 12 from 3 with 4 turnovers. That means in the last two first quarters, the Blazers have scored a total of 23 points on 8 of 47 shooting, including going 2 of 23 from 3 with 9 turnovers. But instead of like that game against the Raptors, where it was like, well, the Raptors only scored 19. They're only down 7. This is a game. Instead, the Celtics ran off and hid. They're up 32-11 after 1, and the Blazers are never going to get back in the game. A wire-to-wire loss. They never went away. I will compliment the Blazers in the sort of like, hey, they lost the game in the opening 12 minutes, but they stayed in the fight. They just couldn't score at all, but I thought they were really competitive. I thought Toumani Camara set a really nice tone of being a competitive defensive player. I thought Drew Holiday kind of followed that tone. I thought Jeremy Grant gave him enough. They just couldn't score in any meaningful way. They chipped away, got a 21 point lead down to 11 a couple times, got as close as 10 with a minute left in the half, but Anthony Simon hits a 3. Peyton Pritchard hits his second buzzer beater in as many quarters. The dude loves the buzzer. He loves to beat that buzzer. That's Fast PP, your boy from West Lynn. He hits a little midi at the buzzer. Raptors. Celtics go into the halftime up 15. You got a 21-point lead to 15, but they're not dead, but they're just not in the game. In the third quarter, they get as close as 8. Not dead, but not in the game. Jeremy Grant had a really funny third quarter in which he went 0 for 1 from the floor, but he also took 9 free throws, and he was 6 of 9 from the free throw line. Missed some free throws in this game. Jeremy Grant missed 5 free throws, but Toumani Camara hit a couple threes. Blazers get as close as 8. They go into the fourth down 10. Not dead, but not in the game. In the fourth quarter, Blazers cut it to 9 with 9.5 minutes left, but the Celtics respond, push it back to 16. They cut it to 10 with 4.5 minutes left, but the Celtics hit a 3. Peyton Pritchard hits a 3. Blazers miss a shot and give up a couple offensive rebounds and a free throw. Instead of back to double digits, they're down 14. And then late, they just hang around. 41.5 seconds left. They get a steal off just like a sloppy pass. Rob Williams gets a deflection and a steal. Toumani Camara on the run out gets a quick foul by Anthony Simons, like going for a steal. Terrible foul by Anthony Simons. Truly stupid. It's a 7-point game with a minute left. Just don't touch him. Instead, he fouls him right away. The old adage that they're scoring with the clock stopped is actually meaningless because if when the ball goes in the final 2 minutes, the clock already stops. But if you do foul early in the shot clock, like if you foul in transition, like Anthony Simons did, you are fouling with the clock stopped. It is actually horrendous. That was a terrible foul. Toumani Camara hits 2 free throws, 5-point game with 40 seconds left. But on the ensuing possession, Blazers need to stop, and Derek White steps into a very deep, like a 29-foot three. Jeremy Grant had his hands down, like he didn't contest it, but he took like a, he was 5 feet behind the 3-point line when he took it. It was a deep shot, cashed out. The Blazers to sort of seal the game down 8, put together their iconic turn the ball over, trying to inbound it in the final minute play, which is what they do. That's like a classic. They actually go to the huddle and they draw up a play and they say like, okay, here you go. You're just going to kind of run over here, and then you like don't finish your cut, and then you throw kind of like a soft pass, and we're going to turn the ball over in the final minute of a game, no matter what. We're going to do it. Blazers lose 102-94. That's your fastest recap in the West. Yeah, I don't know. You're just not going to win a game where you score 11 points in the first quarter. Season low, 94 points. I got more thoughts on this. I got not many because I don't want to beat you over the head with this game because it sucked and they play again tomorrow. But let's talk about them, and we'll talk rising stars. We'll talk about this game and the characters that played a role in it, and then we'll talk rising stars. Donovan Clingan, Yang Hansen, and No Love. So let's talk about that. Close the show. Join me in that third segment. First, though, let's talk game time. You know what the deal is? It's the NBA season, and there's nothing better than being in an NBA arena. You get, the juice from the crowd, the big moments, the final 4 minutes of a game when the Blazers will turn the ball over and it inexplicably on inbounds passes. You got to get in the gym to see how they do it. But getting tickets, that can be a little bit tricky. It hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time is here. It's the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with you, the fans. Pull up the Game Time app, pick out an upcoming NBA game. The venue is going to pull up right on your phone, a very, very clear map with what you see is what you get pricing. That is all in pricing up front. So if you're scrolling a game, say this Sunday when the Blazers back in the Moda Center against the Cavaliers, if it says it's going to cost you $58, that ticket's going to cost you $58 at checkout. Plus they got great last minute options too. So you can get deals on NBA tickets right up before tip off if you're a true procrastinator. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and you create an account and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON, locked on for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Okay, some stray thoughts on this Celtics game. Denny Avdija didn't play, and that's like they're just no good without him, right? They're just no good without him. Should I have led with that information that Denny Avdija didn't play? I should have, but I didn't do fastest recap in the West to lead the show, and threw off my mojo. No Denny in this game, no doo-wop, but like 11 points is you're just not an NBA team if you do that. They're just I thought like. Yeah, Jeremy Grant was fine. He got to the free throw line. He left some points he had 10 of 15 for the free throw line. But like, he has 19. That's what we need from him off the bench. I mentioned in the last game, it's like he needs like 17 or 22 if they're going to be competitive. Drew Holiday, not as awesome as he was in the prior game, but he was pretty good. Toumani Camara, I thought he was Blazers' best player. I thought he set the tone and was really, really like. They were so bad in that first quarter, they could have just like hung their heads. But I thought Toumani's intensity on defense kind of helped set the tone. He made enough shots in that third quarter to kind of keep it, hey, we're heading into the fourth, only down 10. After all of this, we're like, you're in punching, striking distance. I thought he did a decent enough job on Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's going to end up on MVP ballots. The Blazers like sent a bunch of bodies at him. They sent him double teams. They tried to get the ball out of his hands. The Celtics countered by like putting him off the ball a bunch and setting up a bunch of screens. They set a ton of screens, pin downs, like flare screens, when you're going away from the ball, some sort of like I don't know what the exact term is, but like horizontal screens to get you coming towards the ball with Sam Hauser. So you get like, if you switch it, you're getting this like defender that Jaylen Brown wants, so you don't want to, like, they do a bunch of creative stuff, right? They run, so the reason they're the best offense in the league, they have a bunch of shooters, and they really make you guard the half court, like the full span of the half court. But I thought Tumani did a really good job of just like playing defense. I thought he was like, even if he got burned a couple times, like he just stayed in the sort of space of intensity that his team needed him to be in. I thought he was pretty good. Klingon was good on the glass, but it took him a while. He'd taken 1 2-pointer until the fourth quarter. Like they just they launched a bunch of threes in this game, 40, which is not even that many for like where they're at as a team. They didn't make them. Drew made his threes. Tumani hit 3 of 9, but like Caleb Love's 1 of 7. Shaedon Sharp's 1 of 6. It's going to be tough. Jeremy Grant only took 3 threes. Like he was just driving, get to the free throw line, but like They needed more, and they just needed more from Shaedon Sharp. He just was not good enough. This was, Sharp's been fine scoring the ball over the last little bit. That hasn't been a problem. I keep seeing these posts on social media that will be like, he's averaging 24 a game. My man is averaging 21 a game for the year. It's fine. But like, they just needed more from Sharp. They needed more from him. Not like, they didn't need more from him, and like he needs to play point guard or whatever, right? Like he finished with 9 points on 3 of 12 shooting, 5 boards, 3 assists, turned the ball over 3 times. Like I'm not saying that like he needs to become this like incredible lead guard. He needs to shoot more. Like he just needs to do more. The most damning part of this game for Shaedon Sharp is that he took 12 shots. He needed to shoot the ball 25 times. Like. In a game like this, where they have 11, where he's just like, we have 37 points at halftime. He needed to come out in the third quarter and say, I'm going to go do it. Like I'm going to get us going. I'm going to do. It's like they needed him to be just more prolific, and not like play beyond his means. Just like play beyond his skill set, or like become this player that he isn't, like this elite playmaker and defender. No, they need him to shoot the ball. They need to get field goal attempts. Like. Yeah, they needed more from him. They needed it's one game, whatever, but they needed more from him in this game. Okay, I don't know, flush it. Denny's likely to play tomorrow. The Blazers play back-to-back in Washington. The best part about the NBA is you play the next day. You might have to wait one whole day, but you're going to just keep on playing. It's also the worst part of the NBA is that you play all the time. But Thiago Splitter told reporters before the game that Denny was just not ready to play in this game. The idea was that he would play on Tuesday against the Washington Wizards. That's what day it is. I wanted to say Wednesday really bad, but Tuesday against the Wizards. I think I just keep coming back to the idea that they pulled him out of a game on Thursday, and they said he'll play tomorrow, and he's going to end up missing 2 consecutive games after that. I said. It's really something. The way that they operate is always bizarre to me. But in theory, Denny will be back. Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday were not on the injury report tonight, so like they'll have probably their dudes, minus the long-term injury guys that we'll never know. Okay, so like on Tuesday after this game after the last 2 games they've had, they just need a monster performance, and Denny is such a good tone setter, and he's going to try to score a gajillion points against the Wizards. I mean, I don't think he's going to be like crazy selfish or whatever, but I think he's going to go ahead and like Denny could have a pretty normal game and end up with like 38 and 8, like 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, like just kind of like a normal game. That is not that far off of what he performs like a normal game. That is the equivalent of telling me that Shaedon Sharp is averaging 24 points per game when he averages 21 points per game. He's skyrocketing. His averages are skyrocketing. Okay. Rookie sophomore challenge. I gotta say that this is a thing that you want to be on the team, but it doesn't matter at all. Also, so congratulations to the Blazers' 2 representatives. Donovan Clingan playing for the sophomores in the Rookie Sophomore Challenge, and for the G League team, they named 28 players to play these games. And the G League team, that's right, you guessed it, the rookie standout who is a member of the Rip City Remix, that's Yang Hansen. Congratulations, my man. Yeah, well-deserved from Klingon. He's been one of the best sophomores in the league, no doubt about it. He joins Matas Buzelis, Stephon Castle, Keyshawn George, AJ Mitchell, Alex Sarr, Reed Shepard, Cam Spencer, the Memphis Grizzlies. Quietly, the win shares leader for the Grizzlies, Cam Spencer. Jalen Tyson of the Cleveland Cavaliers having a really nice second season. Khalil Ware of the Miami Heat, up and down, but the ups are very up. And Jalen Wells of the Memphis Grizzlies. For the rookies, we get Cedric Coward, Yegor Joman. That's what he used to be in college was Damien. But I think he's gotten at least hammered the pronunciation now in the pros. VJ Edgecombe, Jeremiah Fears, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Trey Johnson, Con Knipple, Colin Murray Boyles, and Derek Queen. I don't really have a quibble there with Caleb Love not making the rookie team. I think all those rookies have been better than him. The closest is Yegor in for Brooklyn. Like Dylan Harper's been better than him. Jeremiah Fears been a little bit better. Fears is probably more volume than anything else than Love, but like Love's overall stats are not that like overwhelming such that you would see this. But he should have been a G League. He should have been a G League representative, no doubt about it. Like I don't know who Sean East II is, but I'm sure Caleb Love's been better than him in the actual NBA. Ron Harper Jr., I know who his dad is. I know Ron Harper Jr. plays for the Celtics. Saw him on the bench tonight. I'm sure Caleb Love's been better than him in the pros. David Jones Garcia, really good impact stats for David Jones Garcia among rookies. Caleb Love's been better than him. Yannick Conan Niederhauser for the Clippers. Cool that YKN is in there, but like Caleb's been better than him. Elijah Martin for the Raptors, no idea who that is. I'm sure Caleb's been better than him. Tristan Newton, former UConn great. Again, I'm sure Caleb's been better than him. And Yang Hansen, congratulations to getting the television ratings, but like, if you're going to reward someone who played for the Portland Trailblazers this year, who's among the rookie class, who has an affiliation with the G League, and Caleb Love is specifically a G League player because he's on a two-way contract, like that means you're not an NBA player. You are specifically a minor leaguer. Like he just deserves it. Cool for Hansen. They're going to get a bunch of eyeballs on the game. I'm sure like my Chinese listeners who are listening to this right now are pretty mad that I'm not offering him praise, but like Hansen has not done anything to deserve this. He has not been particularly good in the G League. He's been straight up bad in the NBA. It's not like this doesn't matter. I'm not going to watch it. The rookie sophomore game has suffered from the same sort of competition rot of the All-Star game, except that it does not have nearly the cachet because it's like, why isn't Trey Johnson and why aren't Trey Johnson and Keyshawn George playing harder? What's going on? It's just bad basketball. I don't care about it. I straight up will not watch it on Friday evening in All-Star weekend. But like, and congratulations to Hansen. They can never take away your participation in the Rising Stars game. But like, you're certainly not the second best rookie on the roster. So if you're going to be mad that Caleb Love didn't get into this group, I think it's literally the G League guys, and it's specifically his own teammate. And congrats to the rookie sophomore game for getting a huge TV bump. Good for y'all. It's a television event. I think it's fine. It's fine to make a television event about TV. Okay, that is going to do it for today's program. Blazers play the Wizards tomorrow. This is like an important game for them to win just to like get back on track. And I think they should really, this is just like a little NBA coaching offer, I'll say, as I close the show, is like, I think they should try to score more than 12 points. More than a point a minute. The goal is for 13. Here's the 13 first quarter points. 13 plus. Here's for 13 plus. Tell your friends about the program 5 days a week, where you get podcasts, also on YouTube, all of that. You know where to get it. So tell your friends where to get it too, because word of mouth is how you help grow the show. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.